Hello, everybody, and welcome to ICE TV, brought to you by IceCan.com. My name is Chris Besnoy. I'm here today with Brendan Cullen. We're continuing our series that we've called Let's Be Real. Today we're going to talk to Brendan about what it's like to be a master grower for a large LP. So Brendan, I'm not obviously going to just ask you that big open-ended question, but you do hear a lot in the industry about how master growers have this rock star kind of life. You see them at trade shows, and it's all glorious. They're wearing their hats, they're wearing their shirts and all that kind of stuff with the big weed plant on it. But I happen to know for a fact, especially knowing you for so long, working in a large LP as a master grower is not everything it's chalked up to be. So one thing you did mention to me over the years is that there's a lot of paperwork. Can you elaborate? Like, just give us what your opinion is of a master grower, a little bit of day in the life, but it's not all just plants.
Okay, to start with some of the more simple paperwork you would be doing is scheduling. So
Okay.
you'd be potentially scheduling your growers that are working below you. You would have to make a production schedule, so that's which plants you're going to grow where and when to harvest and things like that.
Mm.
Other paperwork you would do is working with deviations. When something goes wrong, you'll be working with quality control and trying to hash out any problems that come up on the floor in the day-to-day operations.
So it makes sense. So in other words, what you're saying is that it's not all walk into the flower room or mother and clone, play with a little bit of plants and call it a day. It's what would you say the percentages is between going and actually working with the plant and doing a lot of administration work in the background?
I would say it's mostly administrative work, to be honest. There would be
Okay.
days where a master grower might not even touch a plant. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going that way as a master grower, but there are a lot of other duties that can take up your time and prevent you from getting right there in with the plants that you might want to be.
So I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me is when I was looking into learning how to fly, I kind of realized that there's a lot of education that goes into it. It would be great to be up in the sky, but the reality is you're looking at a lot of instruments the whole time you're flying. Almost, you may have the few times where you can kind of look out of the plane, look at the wing. But is that kind of a right analogy where you're going in there? Yes, you're a master grower, but it's not like you're playing with the plants, listening to the music, and becoming a rock star. You're kind of in the office doing a lot of work too.
Yeah, you're going to spend a decent amount of time on the computer with your environmental control software, dealing with your irrigation cycles and stuff like that. It's not so much going into the grow room and just working with the plants all day. Yes, you will need to go in and verify whether they need more irrigation, less irrigation. If it's too hot, you might want to turn some lights off or close a shade curtain if you're in a greenhouse.
Valid point. So let's get into what it's actually like to work inside of some of this environment. So for a greenhouse, for example, I know that I filmed many greenhouses in my time. It is hot.
It's very hot.
It's really hot to the point where the point where the camera was fogging up, truth be told. So what is it like to work inside of a greenhouse where it's that hot? Like, what would you have to watch out for?
It is challenging. You need to be wary of heat stress, potential heat stroke. As a master grower, I would talk to all your supervisors, make sure that they keep an eye on their workers and anybody else in the facility. Just watch everybody's back for any potential of heat stress. Stay hydrated, take small, frequent breaks when you need to. There's plenty of things that you can do to deal with the heat, and in time you will become acclimated to. It takes a bit of time, though.
Understood. So, I mean, what I'm hearing is for all you executives out there, maybe some water, maybe a fountain somewhere would be nice, right? Some bottles of water to your workers. I mean, it is hot in that environment. What about inside of a enclosed room? What about the heat in there? What about any environmental issues? Like, is the light so bright you may get a headache at the end of the day? Give us your take on that. Inside of a enclosed space, not a greenhouse.
Okay, so some people might get headaches from the artificial lighting. Myself personally, no, but you can definitely hurt your eyes. It's like looking at the sun. If you try to look at a bright grow light, it's going to hurt your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see spots when you look away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good for your eyes. There are methods to protect your eyes. There are sunglasses with different colored lenses that aid with visibility under different light spectrums of lighting, and it also protects your eyes.
Okay, and then what about the mask? I see a lot of master growers in general. You go inside of that flower room or that mother and clone, you're wearing a mask. The assumption is that you don't want to breathe in all that whatever's in their room. But is that true?
No, it's not to prevent the workers from inhaling anything. It's to prevent anything that could possibly come out of a worker's mouth ending up on a plant or a finished product or anything else that could possibly cross contaminate.
I guess that makes sense because if you're working in the industry, inhaling is probably something you're used to. But yeah, you definitely don't want some snot in your weed. That's a valid point. So it's not necessarily to protect you. I mean, it could a little bit, but it's mainly to protect the plants. There's no cross contamination, no whatever, something that you cough up, something you sneeze.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So if there was if I can ask you, there's two good things about being a master grower for a large LP, and then we'll get into two bad things.
Two good things and two bad things. Well, I'll start with one could actually be both, which is pay. If you
Okay.
work for the right company, you will be paid generously.
Mm,
If you
okay.
work for the wrong company, you will be overworked and not paid generously. So
Valid point.
I guess
Yeah.
it's just like every other industry
Sure.
in that that matter. So research who you're going to work for if you're looking for a new position as a master grower.
Right, and make sure that you know your worth, right? I mean,
Yes,
I'm pretty sure if you got the
absolutely know your
education,
worth.
you've got the experience, you've been around, been there, you've been in the growing for 30 years, something crazy like that. I mean,
Yes.
this man knows what he's talking about. The idea is that if you go to a master to an LP and they say, no, you're just like everybody else we hired outside of college, that may not be true because of your experience. So the point you're trying to make is make sure you're getting paid fair for the work
Yes.
that you're doing. Okay, so that would be a positive or a negative. Okay, what would be
Yes.
another? Let's say a positive. What would be another positive?
It's like you get to work with cannabis plants all day long.
If that's your passion,
Well,
definitely.
if it's not your passion, then I would recommend trying something else.
I got you. So you have to be passionate about what you do. That's a valid point. Be passionate because you will be in an environment that may be too hot.
Yes,
maybe
that's
really
where I was
bright.
going to go with
Yeah, yeah.
the second negative point is
Okay.
the heat. I've seen people that had the heart and the desire to become growers
Mhm.
who did not make it because they could not handle the heat.
So it's that hot, especially in the
Yes.
summertime. I would assume in a greenhouse,
Yes.
it'd be like really, really hot.
Yes, I've seen people basically crouched in the fetal position in the corner because they are just dealing with the heat, and no matter how much water you give them, it's not so much at the point where it's a medical thing.
Mhm.
They weren't people that need medical assistance. Obviously, that would be a different conversation, and I wouldn't be speaking so lightly about it.
Yeah, of course.
But from a personal standpoint, a person's personal constitution, if they can't handle the heat so much, you will be in the corner, possibly in tears because of the heat.
Understood. It makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, fair enough. Again, it's Brendan who's giving us a little bit of information about what it's like to be a master grower. Yes, there's a little bit of hype out there. It is a brand new industry, but not everything. Like anything else in this world, the grass is always greener on the other side. Pun intended, I
Yeah.
guess, at this point in time. Nonetheless, just make sure you're hiring the staff that you need, and if you're a master grower, make sure you know your worth. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Again, Chris Bezanoy. This is Ice TV, brought to you by icecan.com. Make sure you watch some of the other videos we're about to produce. We're going to be asking Brendan a little bit more in-depth questions. We're going to get inside his brain, all meant to give you the information that you need to make the informed decision. So again, thanks for watching, and let's be real.